Hey,
How are
Sheryl.
you? Ify,
Nice
how
to
are
meet
you?
I'm good. Let's
Nice.
get some breakfast, don't we?
Yes, let's do it.
Great. I really love what you're wearing, by the way. It's so bold. The colors are like super poppy.
I know, but your style is cool. First of all, I love the orange here on the pants. And then I love the fact that they are super functional. Like I can see that you have like your keys and then the belt. I really like it.
Just am so lazy to carry a bag. So if I can, I'll try not to. I think that's the idea.
I know, that's a good thought. That's a good thought.
Yeah.
But tell me, how does your style in creating your clothes, but also wearing it changes because of Singapore, because of the weather? Yeah.
I find like dressing in Singapore, you have to be like, I think super practical, right? I would say it's limiting, but it's also pushing us to like think about how we want to like create clothes for like the people here.
Yeah, I agree completely. That's why, for example, when I started with my brand, I was using the traditional African fabric, which is cotton, but still it's like a little bit too thick.
I
and
see.
for this weather, it's not so practical, let's say.
Yes,
so now I'm using fabrics that are more lightweight.
Yes, I think fabrications are super important.
Yes.
Like we always get feedback from clients. You're like, you know, we want something lighter, and they also hate ironing.
Yes.
So it's always like...
I do also, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, so I think it's really about finding like the sweet spot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's so many of those considerations we have to make.
Yeah.
And I think like also then marrying what our visions are like and then to that considerations, that's like quite challenging, but also quite, I think, fun.
But that's unique, no? It's our unique aspect, you know, of how we create something that can work, but still has the vision behind. Like, for example, for my case, it's like still putting the traditional aspect, the fabric, the prints, but making it more appealing, but also wearable for the people, but still keeping my DNA, right?
Yes.
So that's, I think, is what we are designed for. Right?
Yes, yeah, of course. Great. So I think we actually just arrived at the place I want to bring you for breakfast.
I've never been here. So cool.
Great.
Open 24 hours.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm curious to also find out like, you know, why you want to design the clothes you do, and also like, what do you think your clients come to you for?
So, what drives my style? I design for myself, first of all, because I want to carry my culture always with me, being basically far away from home. And this is a way for me to be closer to home, right?
Okay.
And then I really want people to know about my culture. So that's why, design for myself, but then I tweak it based also on the feedbacks that my customer are asking me or giving me. And I felt like the customer are coming to Olive & Cara because they want to be a part of a community that celebrates culture. And not only the African culture, but behind there's a meaning behind, you know, like how do you express yourself, express your culture through clothes. In this case, for me, it's the African culture, but I think it goes beyond that.
Yes. Because I imagine, I know you have like sort of like not just African, I mean you also grew up in Italy.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are also a mix of that, you know, sort of heritage of like what you've been through in life, and then that's woven in. Would you say like it's not just simply African culture?
Yeah.
It's like what?
Yeah.
You do it all of it?
Yeah, definitely. I blend the 3 different cultures, which is part of my story. Heritage is Nigerian, so the colors and then the patterns are Nigerians. Then Italian, I was born and raised there, so there's the attention to details, and then the silhouettes. Like, I guess I get that from the beauty of Italy. I'm from Venice, so Venice is a museum itself. Yeah, so I think that is the Italian part, and then Asian culture. So I do cheongsam sometimes, like mixed cultures or kimonos. And then the fact, like, in this case, I'm not, but now I have some prints that represent the 3 cultures together.
Imagine like people come to you, they want to like find the energy, man.
To find the energy, they want to feel connected to something, which is same culture.
Yes.
And then sometimes you just want to be you know?
Yeah.
So Sheryl,
Yes.
how did you decide to create suits for women? And
Suits. Okay.
yeah, tell me more.
Right. So I think with suits, I would say it's a very personal, like, sort of inclination. Right. So personally, I really love the idea of like being in menswear. I always felt like when I was shopping in the men's department, there was like nothing that really quite fits. It's like I just want something like the boys are wearing in the same colorways, not in pink for once, right? Or like or maybe something that was like super like wasted or something. And then I couldn't find it. I was like frustrated. I think I was just angry when I first started the brand. I was like, I just want women to know that they have options. And like, I think sometimes also it can feel quite intimidating to talk about our bodies. And I thought it would be nice, you know, for once to see a woman like front it a little bit more openly. And that was when the idea of 3/8 coming about, right? The idea was really to provide women to have an allowance to be themselves. Are we done?
Yeah.
Okay, would you like some coffee? Because I think I need some caffeine right
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, let's go. So how did you actually first start to learn sewing then?
Okay, so since I was a kid, my mother was doing clothes for my sister and I.
I see.
Yeah, super colorful, puffy clothes. So at one point when I was growing up, I didn't want my mom to do the clothes for me because I didn't like the design. Actually, I was telling her like, can you do like the big sleeve and stuff like that?
Directing
And then at one
her.
point she was like, okay, you know what? Now you do it yours. And then she taught me how to do my paper pattern and then how to do clothes. So my first dress that I did, I think I was 12 or 13.
Wow.
Yeah, it was made of lace,
Right.
something that I could use at the beach. Was ugly.
I love to say it was ugly.
Now that I'm thinking
That's what we all say
it,
about our first designs.
yeah, it was really ugly. And then when I started Olive & Cara, I decided to learn. When I started here, right? So I wanted to make sure that I knew how to do the paper patterns in the right way so that I could communicate with my seamstresses in the best way possible. But tell me about you, your apprenticeship, and then how you learn to do tailors, you know, like suits, tailored suits.
Yeah, so I think interesting because you said you started sewing at 12. I'm like, oh my god, I only started
Like I said, that it was ugly and badly made.
I think I only really started, I think literally ×2 of you, so 24.
Okay.
So I went for like some sewing like classes, design classes. It was like a part-time thing.
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, maybe I'm interested, I'm gonna try. Although my sewing was like, it's horrible. I couldn't sew a straight line for nuts. And then, yeah, during the apprenticeship, it was really like training.
Okay.
Yeah, it really made me be like super focused and
How
like.
many hours?
I think it was really like a full work day. So I would try to be sewing straight lines and it took so long. Like sewing buttons on a shirt, it took me like half a day. It was terrible. I think the apprenticeship was a great place for me to really beat me into shape.
Okay.
I started getting done on clothes and then it made me really interested to think how can I then adapt that for women.
Yeah, but then you have to change a lot of things, right? Because you learn how to do for men, which they have a different body shape, right?
That's true.
So how did were you
Adapt.
able to adapt that?
Yeah, I think then understanding, like, I always kind of go back to the theory of like, if we had to wrap paper around, and you will understand it's paper around a ball, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's always gonna have funny flow lines,
Yeah.
and then we have
Yeah.
to like, you know, add dots or like pleats and stuff
Yeah.
like that to
Yeah.
like make it more interesting or fit
Yes.
it better to the body. And I think that really challenged me on how I could reimagine that on like a woman's body, or then also how can I make more structured stuff on women, but let it sit so well.
Yeah. I like how before we even started our own brand, we decided to know how is the basic, how to
Yes.
do the paper pattern. For me, it was, for example, like now, like I really appreciate the work of my seamstresses
Yes,
because
yes.
it
That is
takes
so true.
so much from the paper, and sometimes you kind of forget what's behind when you're wearing a clothes. You kind of forget what's behind the process.
Yes.
It's like a designer designing, then paper pattern, and then fabric.
Yes.
Right? And then cutting the fabric. And then like there's
Just
so
all the
much-
different parts about making, putting the clothes together, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I really like that both of us had that part in our journey. where we really went back to, or we started from basic. Or
Yes.
At one point,
There's so much
from
like
basic.
appreciation here.
Exactly.
So, hey, actually, we're here. Shall we step in for the coffee?
Yes, let's go.
Let's go.
So tell me when and how you decided or you realized that your skill was more and then you wanted to turn this into a business.
Right. I think the aha point for me came pretty early.
Oh.
I think before I started my apprenticeship, I was always like kind of wanting to do something of my own. Just didn't know where, how, or what to do, you know. I think the point was really just, I think women all deserve like space or like an outlet, you know, to feel like their visions can be expressed as well. And in this case, it was like adapting menswear, right?
Okay.
So I was like, I'm sure there are women who feel similarly to me, and I was like, let's go. Gotta say, there was no plan, horrible. I just went along with a gut feeling initially, and I think there was so many lessons learned on like what running the business looks like. And then I would imagine like for you then, right? Because for me, I feel like as a Singaporean here in Singapore, it's already so hard to do fashion, right? Because it's such a small ecosystem, and it's also quite limiting or difficult to break into. And then for you coming into Singapore, that's already like a challenge in itself, right? And then like sort of learning about the culture and stuff like that. And then you had to kind of like find ways to run the business here. How was actually that like for you? I'm curious.
Okay, I was super lucky. Basically, I had a very amazing group of friends that supported me a lot in the beginning, you know. I still remember when I thought about starting Olive & Cara, and then I did a market research with my friends. Of course, my scientific part comes again, comes in. And I remember I invited them at my living room, and then they didn't know what was happening. And then I was like, yeah, what do you think if I bring the African prints, African colors here? And really, you know, like, even when you have downs, no, there are the friends that are supporting you to keep moving. And I feel like for everyone, the first challenge is like to start, to be like, okay, this is my passion project, which I always call it, and still now is my passion project.
Okay.
And then be like, okay, let's make a reality of this passion project. No, that's the biggest challenge.
Step forward,
you know?
Okay.
It's not easy when you're alone. You are a solo entrepreneur. I guess you are as well, right?
That's right.
That you have to take decisions and you don't know, or when can I say no? Should I say always yes?
Yes.
And that's really challenging, you know, and go back to yourself and be like, okay, I'm doing the right thing.
There's so much like decision fatigue, the way you have like just shared it with me. And I completely agree with you. I think doing business can be a very lonely journey anywhere in the world, or like at any point you're trying to start. Right?
Yeah.
And I think then like what you said, like having a great support system is super important.
Yeah.
Similarly, when you said like, you know, you were with friends and you were getting like help from like different people around, like that was kind of where I was at as well. I didn't really know who to turn to for support. But it was just like, hey, by the way, and then I feel like there were so many chance encounters for me to like get help. And that was also like, I think just business aside, it also showed me like who would show up for you.
Yeah.
And how can you also then like sort of be more resourceful beyond just like doing within the parameters of fashion itself.
Now, there are so many communities that can help you, or people that want to start something, you know, a business, or they have a passion project. I think now you can find a lot of support from a lot of other businesses or entrepreneur.
That's so true.
And it's nice. What I really liked here is like how people are willing to share. Oh, I buy this this is my supplier. Or let me help you to, I don't know, anything.
Push you in touch.
Yes, exactly. Network, right? And it's amazing. That was really amazing. And now it's even more.
Yes.
And not everywhere is like this, to be honest.
So how are you enjoying the coffee today then?
So good. I love it. And yeah, super good. So today we went in many different places. So can you tell me any other place where I should check out and have a good coffee?
I think so many places, but I would definitely recommend for you to go to Little India. I mean, there's a lot of sights and sounds there, lots of things you can explore. local as well as like, I guess like super quaint cafes that you can check out. So I
Okay.
think kind of like what we did today, you know, something traditional, and then
Okay.
if you want to catch something like a little bit more, I don't know, update.
Okay, okay,
I think
okay.
you could
That's nice.
get a sense of that.
Okay, Little India, nice.
Yes.
We'll go.
Please enjoy and let me know how it goes.
Cheers. We can do cheers with the coffee, but it's okay.
Sure. Of course, I will accept that. I'm so glad I got to meet you today. And yeah, it was so nice, like finally like meeting you in person, you know, after seeing you at so many different editions of boutiques. Yeah,
Wow.
it was like, it came full circle for me.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
So it was like a really, really nice time out together. Yeah, thank you.